let's have a beautiful experience. In this video, we're going to talk about the construct, how to naturally raise your testosterone, your human growth hormone, and make your penis bigger. It's a beautiful thing. You gotta love it. All right, before we get started here, please do me a huge favor. Please ring the bell, subscribe to the channel. Of course, give me the Arthur Fonzarelli thumbs up, like so I say hey. And of course, follow me on my social media. I go by Jesus_Detroit on my Instagram, Snapchat. I'm YOUNGDAYGO. And that's right, in this video we're talking about the construct, the matrix thing, because you know where we're at in the BCC, the Big Cock Consciousness, the Big Cock Collective, where I help you naturally raise your testosterone, your human growth hormone, and make your penis bigger, wider, thicker, longer, stronger, and harder. I'm a spiritual guide and a mentor here to expand your mind and increase your size. So without further ado, I'm here to tell you about the construct. And yes, like I said, this was inspired from me going to sleep last night. And you know me, whenever I'm dreaming, I'm always battling it out in the master realms, and I'm dripping that DMT, Joe Rogan, and I ain't got to snort for it, jab a vein for it. All I got to do is sleep. And I'm always here to inspire with the message that always comes through to me. And what we're talking about here today is the construct, which is, essentially the loading program in the movie The Matrix. And yes, man, I know that might sound a little esoteric, a little out there, a little whatever, but you know me, huge movie buff, and I always like to, utilize the information that comes to me to help us all with our huge penis, massive muscle manifestation, because you know what we're about here. And I'm just waking up right now, and this all came to me last night, and it was all being recollected while I'm having my green tea, one of the ways I like to start my day. But you know what I do before my feet hit the ground? You know the sound. Just go ahead and take this breath with me. I got a shot today. I feel beautiful. And that's what we got to go with, because that's what we grow with. Gratitude is the attitude. Don't forget it. And yeah, last night, I'm sleeping there, and they taught, the scientific terms, the theta, beta, what have you. And, I'm very aware of my dreams, and I always sleep on my back. And, usually, astral projection and all these other terms that you could, essentially dabble in, explore that route. It's when you close your eyes and you're seeing that nothingness. And people might just see black, but I tend to, what I'm seeing is I see a whole bunch of stuff. It's much like looking at the constellations in the sky. I can see like shooting stars. I see like just, faces, and just kind of like not like, crazy faces or anything, but just, like how you would see in the clouds or whatever. I might see other things. I might see like a dimension that kind of opens up a little bit, something bright, something light, and then like it's all about the control that you have anyways, because like I always say, if you want beauty to appear, you got to keep this clear. You got to be a clear conduit for growth. And when we're talking about being in that the construct, which like when Morpheus was talking to Neo, and he's there, and he's like, "You're telling me I'm in a computer program?" And Morpheus is like, he's like, "Is it really hard to believe?" He goes, "What you have here is what we call your residual self-image, and it's a mental projection of your digital self in the world that we're living in." Don't quote me, but it's something along those lines. I'm giving myself some kudos because I knew what was up. I'm feeling it. Feeling beautiful. And when we're talking about in that construct type of way, essentially this is where you can load, your huge muscles and your huge penis and naturally raising your testosterone. And I know that might sound like, how is that even possible? But dude, like I say, man, I don't discredit science, but I don't discredit magic. And I feel that we're all magic. We're all beautiful. Don't forget my favorite sayings. I am magic. I am divine. And the universe is on my side. And you know what? I might as well get a quick pump going because it's the morning. I'm just waking up. And you know me. I got to share the mind-muscle connection. And this is what we're talking about with huge muscle manifestation. It's not about how many sets that you're doing, about how many reps that you're doing. It's about putting your mind into the size. And understand that Paramahansa Yogananda, the one that says the mind is the wielder of muscle. And you know, Steve Jobs read this book and he talks about how miracles and magic is always out there. Steve Jobs, my favorite quote by him is, the people that feel that they're crazy enough to change the world are the ones that do. And what we're talking about here is the mind muscle connection, not about how many sets, how many reps. It's about putting your mind into the size, about visualizing and seeing the growth. Feeling the growth, you see it explode, you see it expand, and you see the growth. So go ahead and say this anytime you gotta get one last shot out, because I'm feeling my blood boiling in a Detroit Rock City wintertime. You just go ahead and you say, I'm magic, I'm divine, and I can increase my size. Yeah, getting lit. 2020, here we go, here we grow. You gotta love that flow. And it's a beautiful thing. Usually, you know, I'd be having a beer, but you know, gotta start it off right, gotta liquefy. I drink water too. You know what I mean? It just depends on the type of day that you're seeing me do this, man. I hold all my, you know, accountabilities, and you can count on me waiting for you in the parking lot. Yeah, it's right, Mr. Larson. You know me, I always like to get you smiling, because the smile is divine. It's made inside the mind. And understand that when we're talking about this whole concept, or what have you, utilizing the matrix for, you know, what it brought to the mainstream and essentially the imagination anyways, because, you know, movies are kind of like, you know, a reflection of, you know, mind and like the collective minds and just everything that's always been out there. And these are stories that essentially that, you know, they got huge followings, and with that there's, you know, numbers that you can grab onto, because there's so many that are following this belief, that which is what a collective belief essentially is, because there's so many people that really believe in it. That's something that can help you achieve. And that goes with anything that you're doing, like with muscle manifestation. So many different kinds of beliefs: keto, carbs, no carbs, carb load, all these types of you know, information to help you could be quite confusing, which is why you got to choose the ones that work for you, which is why I say all truths are true. You just got to find the ones that make you. And you can utilize, you know, any type of belief for exercise. You can go, you know, the old school approach. You want to, you know, get your abs developed. You do a set, you do 100 before bed. You know, there's a whole bunch of things that you can, you know, essentially put into you and see results from. And this is stuff that I go with. And like, remember, like, no matter what you're doing, there's always a 2-way, 3-way, 4-way, I don't know, countless ways of what you're doing. And somebody's going to explain why you're doing it wrong or right. And the only person that's going to know is you, because you know how we grow. And what we're talking about here is, if it's the feeling is the secret. Law of attraction will let you know. And that's something that's going to let you flow and let you grow. So essentially what we're doing here, like whatever workout that you're doing, like if you're, you know, changing your body up and you're all new to the game or whatever, man, just remember, anything and everything will work. You are the one that's going to see the results and feel the results. And you know, it's as crazy as it may be. You got people that might go on the Stairmaster one day and they're like, yeah, I'm already feeling tight. That's the right attitude, man. That is the right mentality to have, because essentially, you know, this is going to make you want to not only do it more, it's going to, you know, put you in the receptive mode to grow. And you're going to understand that, you know, like when you're curling, like, yeah, my biceps feel huge. They look huge. And when you're doing stuff like that, you're downloading it into your mind. And especially doing stuff before bed, you know, like old school people, like they would always do the, you know, like even like, you know, the high school studs or whatever, you know, they would, you know, do some arm curls and some, you know, sit-ups before bed. And, you know, some of the new meatheads and, you know, the late, great, rest in peace, Rich Piana would always talk about what are called feeder workouts. And he's like, when I wanted to blow up my shoulders, I would do, you know, 100 sets of side lat raises before bed, just to really focus on bringing out his delts. And the guy, you know, he had some bowling balls, man. He was huge. And, you know, this is just one of those beliefs that transcended into his manifestation of, you know, of his existence when he was here. And that's something that you can grab onto, and it's something that could work for you. of course, you're gonna find a whole nother approach that would say why that it doesn't mean who got, you know what I mean? It doesn't mean. So I was watching a lot of Sopranos the past few days, and this full wolf moon, you know me, I'm a lunatic. You know, a couple of days, and it was just something that was kind of like, I don't know, I was feeling the vibe of it. And you know, and today actually, you know, when we're going down that, you know, holistic rabbit hole anyways, and horoscopes and that kind of thing, it's technically the day of the spider. Hey, yo, Spider, hey, yo, you see my fight against Spider Rico? Spider Rico's a bum. Hey, you think everybody I fight is a bum, you know? Well, aren't they? You know what I mean? And of course I had to hit you with a quick Rocky Balboa analogy. You know what I say. My favorite line by him is, nothing's real unless you believe in yourself. So go ahead and write that down and remember that one. But what we're talking about here, the day of the spider, you know, and it's a dark day, a great magic, whatever. And it kind of correlates because I wanted to check to see where my dream was at. I'm like, man, I had some crazy dreams. Let's see what the moon has to say. And like, oh yeah, day of the spider. Maybe might explain it. But, you know, essentially you can have beautiful dreams too. And honestly, like, one of them last night, I'm talking to Dr. Tony Huge about my practice. Crazy enough, you know what I mean? Because he's a personality on YouTube, and he's a great source of information for using science to enhance your muscles. And like I say, man, I don't discredit science, but I don't discredit magic, because it's all one and the same. And what we're going with, you know, like I say, man, you either train and sing or remain the same. And when we're talking about all these crazy things that just kind of just always rambling through my head, and I could ramble like a monkey in a tree. Forrest Gump analogy, you just have to throw it at you, keep you on your toes, keep you guessing, keep you growing, keep you flowing. We're talking about the construct and the loading program to naturally, you know, raise your testosterone and make your muscles bigger. And like I said, man, you get lost in these whole holistic horoscopes and this and that, and it's just like, you know, I was even thinking earlier, like, I don't know, I feel like the NFL has something against Leos. I mean, you know, because not only is the lion, you know, one of the greatest, horoscope figures to look at, you know, astrology, you know, and that's just so Leo of a thing to say, isn't it? You know what I mean? To be like, you know, because, you know, the lion, you know what I mean? And of course the Detroit Lions. I don't really follow sports, but I haven't seen a Super Bowl win in my lifetime. But you know what we're saying? I'm still living, so we're still going and we're still growing, and who knows? Maybe there's, you know, one that's coming. And like I said, I'm not, you know, sports really isn't, like, that doesn't depict my, you know, how I'm feeling today, you know what I mean, what the Lions do. I'll give you a quick, you know, a Bronx Tale analogy, you know what we're talking about with Chaz Palminteri, talking about Sonny, talking to Cologino, and he said, did Mickey Mantle ever pay your rent? You know what I mean? After that, Cologino, he was throwing away all Mickey Mantle's baseball cards and all that, you know, and Robert De Niro, of course, you know, he was talking to Sonny about that. Great movie. You really should look at it if you're really into mafia flicks. And, you know, it was a great Broadway musical if you're into that kind of thing as well. And I believe that's how it started out. Don't quote me, but yeah, pretty sure. Anyways, what we're talking about is the construct to construct your, you know, your massive penis and your massive muscles. And when you're in that theta, beta, whatever you want, theta, beta, microwave, whatever you're talking about in that state before, you know, going to sleep, and you're having like that, you know, just those crazy lights that are kind of just flashing around you, and just like I said, you see kind of like the sky a little bit. And maybe everybody doesn't see this, but like I said, man, maybe you can see what I'm talking about. Like, it might be black, but you might be able to see some blues and some reds and some colors. Sometimes I see that heart, you know what I mean? And it's worth sharing this every single time anyway, man, because you know me, we're talking about the construct, we're talking about the matrix, we're talking about love, so you know how we go. Anytime that you hear somebody on the other line of the phone, you see somebody in traffic, you see somebody staring at you across from the gym, somebody just comes on your mind, instead of having a good, bad, neutral thought about them, just intend, and even after the thought, just intend on that person, that soul, to have a beautiful day, to feel love in some kind of way, and you go along your day, and you hack the matrix, you are giving yourself purpose. I promise you're going to feel tremendous results from doing something as simple simple as this, because the universe is a mirror, and whenever you start loving yourself within, it's going to always be attracted back to you, and whenever you're loving out there, it's going to always come back, because it's that, that flow, that we're talking the yin and the yang. It's just the way that it goes. And you know me, always doing Tao practices, the Wu Wave flow, path of least resistance. That's why you got me here right now doing this, naked in a chair, skin glowing, hair flowing, body growing, spirit knowing that I'm helping everybody achieve the best. And when we're talking about, doing the Wu Wave flow, it's just going with the flow of the day. Just go, doing things in a non-particular order. Just go with it and just keep flow with it. And just whatever feels right to you. And I know everybody's got obligations and things that they can't negate at certain times, but, everybody's got, their own rhyme to their reason and their existence. And you are your own limiting belief, and you are your own, resistance. So don't forget that. And like I said, the construct, what we're going with and what we're growing with, essentially is, gearing your body and your mind to increase its size before bed. And that's why, like when we're talking about a rich piano, old school belief, and, of course, we're talking about feeder workouts, and, even just doing sit-ups before bed, it's good practice because it's putting your mind into the size of what you want to essentially create, which is why I always say, edge before bed. That's when you're throbbing up that penis as big as you can. You know me, I talk about this quite a bit in a lot of my videos with Montauk Chi and, all the beliefs about really throbbing this thing up beyond belief, using cock rings to do it. We're talking about making it as big as you can, man. We're talking about throbbing hard, you know what I mean? And, a lot of people don't focus on the hardness. Maybe you're not, and you don't notice it. Maybe you're consistently consistent, but be as it may, you better understand that this thing better be throbbing as hard as you can make it, and be pulling on the top of it, and making it even bigger. And that's what we're talking about. Having a huge piece of meat, swing between the knees, throb to the pecs, making you your best. Give it a kiss. How you doing? Talking about being the giants that we are, the head in the clouds, not worrying about the little gremlins at your feet. We're talking about, of course, don't stomp on your best friend's house. You know what we're going with. And what we're saying is when you're doing a super edging before bed, you're putting your mind into the grow, and you're not taking that ejaculation explode, you're putting it where it needs to go, you're putting it back into your muscles, back into your hair, back, because it's the healing orgasm as well. And when you really become more, in tune with your body, which is what Montauk Chi always talks about. This guy's a Tao master, and like he utilizes the healing orgasm, heal his kidneys, heal his lung, heal, he's inside doing like all these like essentially, he's going organ by organ, you know what I mean? And what we're talking about here is just going, your muscles, and understanding that we can just throw it into there. It's more simple, because honestly, does your mind really know what kidney, or know what a lung, or know any of this? Like I say, man, we're just putting it to where we feel it. And if you're taking an ejaculation, which would normally go out and, you know what I mean? We're taking it and we're bringing it in, and you got to be on the, the mental wavelength of that. You got to understand that you control that, and you got to at least entertain that you can make that happen. Because if you're going through life like, that don't happen, man, I gotta blow my load, I get blue balls, if you have that kind of attitude, then I mean, come on, you got nobody to, blame but yourself, and you got to look somewhere else for, that kind of help. I mean, I'm looking, to tell you that essentially you got all the buttons inside, and you can, you can contact the divine, because we are all divine. And you got to understand that the Hercules, the Priapus, all these gods that exist are right here, and they're here to help you. And these are things that can help you achieve the best. And we're talking about collective beliefs and collective stories, or whatever you want to say, but we're being able to get inside this mind and understand that the pituitary gland is right there, man. We're talking, that's where the growth hormone comes from. We're talking about the chakra system, the crown up there, the heart rate there, talking about the penis is on the root. Don't forget that. And of course, I missed a few in there, but what we're talking about is the main, the main thing of this is understanding that, your mind and your body and your spirit, everything is all connected. Like I say, man, health, wealth, and self are all correlated, and whenever you're working on whatever leg of that, they all come to you. And obviously, if you're just working super hard on one, you know what I mean, that's where things are, you're gonna have to delegate your what you gotta do. But regardless, like if it's on your mind to increase your size and you know that you can do it, you're gonna always be able to do something every day, no matter what, no matter how busy you are, no matter what about work that you're doing, which is why essentially we can always create a program for you, which is why if you get at me in the BCC, no matter what your schedule looks like, everything and anything will work, because there's always a technique that you can throw at yourself, and keeping your mind connected to the grow is what's going to help you flow, which is why we're talking about even going to the construct before you go to sleep at night. Like, so this way, a lot of people might not even acknowledge this downloading program or this upload, whatever you want to say, and like this where Keanu Reeves, he was learning, the karate or whatnot, and the jujitsu, and how you tell me I can dodge bullets and all that kind of thing, and how to jump on the building. We're talking about you have access to that program, and you're able to, put what needs to go there, what needs to grow, and you're just understanding, like, all right, before bed, you're focusing on what you want, what you're intending to make better, and what you're intending to make bigger, and you're feeling it. If you can't visualize it, whatever, that's fine. Just understand that you can, your mind is in the right place to help your body manifest, and understand that the more that you do this, the more that you're in the receptive mode to grow, and that's essentially what you can utilize this loading program to do. And I'm not saying that that's all you can do with it. I mean, it's probably, you are your own limiting factor of what you can manifest with this. I'm just saying that there's ways that, you can download, stuff, download information into you in that frame, in that area, which can help manifest the best for you. And that's something that's worth, practicing, and just seeing where you're at before you go to bed, and, see if you see some light, see if you're seeing anything. Like, I'm blessed to be very connected with what's going on out there. And, like I say, man, it doesn't matter about, your diet or anything, man. All that matters is you, you don't have to listen to everybody's belief about why you gotta, not eat meat and be a vegan. That I have high five food and blah, you know what I mean? Like I say, it's essentially, you're the one that's gonna take anything out of this anyways. You could be as a holistic holy man or whatever you gotta be, and still eat meat, and still, party and drink and do whatever you gotta do. Obviously, it's about, being the best you can be, because regardless of how divine we are still having a human experience as well. And being able to step away and get back to the smile that we already are, however you're doing that, as long as you get to the smile and you're getting to the laughter, I feel like that's where we naturally really are. That's our best light. That's what we are. That's what we naturally are. And everything essentially is kind of like the, the story of what we're going with. Like, you're going away for a little bit, and then you're coming back to that. And like, no matter what, like, you're chasing to be a millionaire, and then you come back and you're trying to come back to that. No matter what you're doing, you're always getting back to the source of what we already are. So, always looking for something is a beautiful part of life. Understand that the construct's here to help you. And like I said, I feel like I'm going to close this beautiful experience yet again. And, like I say, man, we're going to have plenty more beautiful experiences to come. So make sure you follow me on the social media. Check out my cat C, my wolf and my bear always there. A couple Pekinese, a couple cameos. Feel like there's some beautiful trips and some travel. And who knows what's coming in this beautiful day. So I got to just say that I'll be seeing you around. I intend on you guys to spread some love today, to feel some love today, to feel the magic today. We are all miracles. Miracles happen every single day. Miracles always happen. You guys are beautiful. Don't forget, you got a shot. I love you guys. I'll see you around. Peace.